If you want to get away from the crowds of Tokyo and Kyoto, consider going to Takayama. Nestled high in the Japanese Alps, this place has got it all, from shopping in downtown streets that were built in the feudal era to exploring villages isolated from most of their history, or even just taking a scenic hike on a mountain in the middle of town. So, let's dive into it. We started the first day hiking around Mount Shirayama in the middle of the city. They've got the old ruins of Takayama Castle there, as well as some small little shrines and even this little like bird watching booth where we got some pretty fun photos.
You okay?
After we were done with the hike, we went to downtown Takayama, about 10 minutes away from Takayama Station, to the Furui Machinami, or the old like shopping district. In the shopping district, you can find things like kimono or art from local artists, and if you're thirsty, sake. There's like 3 breweries here. Our favorite shop was this little wood block print shop. When we walked in the store, we could hear the lady in the background kind of carving her next print. And she even had a little like museum set up showing off how you actually make this kind of art, which was really cool to see. She sold things like, paper prints as well as these cute little like stuffed animals. Also scattered throughout this entire area, you can find shops selling little like local snacks and treats where you can, buy something to bring home for family and friends. When you're in the Hida Gifu region, you really want to keep an eye out for Hida beef. It is phenomenal. We went to a place called Butcher's, which was like a nicer steak restaurant, and the chefs prepared the food beautifully. The service was great. It was fantastic. Go check them out. If that's a little bit out of your price range, try checking out Kajibashi, just right down the road. We got the beef and rice combo and it was fantastic. Though looking at some reviews online, it might be a little bit better to find another place if it's crowded. Just keep an eye out. There's Hida beef restaurants like everywhere in town, so it shouldn't be too hard to find something. If you did the hike in the morning and spent a lot of time shopping, you could probably easily spend half a day or more just in Takayama City alone, especially if you like to shop. And if you get bored doing something like that, there's always museums and other kind of things to check out around town. And if the hike isn't your speed, they actually have like a farmer's market in the mornings, so you can go down to the river and check that out. We learned about that through a pamphlet that our hotel gave us, so keep an eye out for things like that to see what's going on around you when you actually go and visit. The next place you've got to go check out is Shirakawa-go. It's probably the most popular place in this entire region, and for a really good reason, because it is quintessentially beautiful. They've got this really unique style of building thatch roofed houses with no nails because of the meters of snow that they get. Like one of the shop owners we were talking with was saying that it was a light year and they only got 1.5 meters of snow. That's like 5 feet in freedom units. When you go, There's a few things you need to check out. First off, go to the overlook so you can get a view of like the entire town. Second, there's this tiny little pudding shop that I'm gonna need to leave a pin to because I didn't take any photos of it because I was so obsessed with the pudding that it just got eaten and that's just what happened. The third one is the open air museum just on the other side of the river. That was probably our favorite place to go because there were like no crowds. You could walk around inside of some of the gasho style buildings and they would show you how things were made and kind of what they would have done to live there. As well as it had probably one of my favorite works of art in all of Japan, this little dude. I just love his dumb face. To get to Shirakawa-go, it's about an hour drive or bus ride, so just plan to spend about half a day here. If you go in a season other than the winter, there's a lot of hiking and things like that around, so you could spend even more days here. And if you are going to stay for multiple days, you can even stay in some of the gasho style houses because they're available for rent, and you can see what it would have been like to live in that more feudal era style of living. If you want a more hands-on experience than Shirakawa-go, go check out Hida Folk Village. It's 20 minutes away from Takayama Station by bus, and the goal is to keep the kind of local arts and traditions alive. When we went in the winter, they had this little mochi tasting with local pickled vegetables and green tea, and we got to sit around the fire with the lady who was grilling the mochis and kind of chat with her a bit. There was another room off to the side with tatami mats that you could sit and watch like the beautiful fluffy snow falling, which would be really peaceful to do. Some of the other things that they have there are like local woodworkers, keeping those traditions alive, as well as like a pottery studio. There's just a ton to do there, so go check that out. I'm gonna actually leave a link in the description to their website because they put on so many things, it's not really practical to try to explain everything here. So research what might be going on when you go to visit, because they've got so much going on. Also, if you're traveling with kids, this would be a great place to go. Kind of keeping this museum train rolling, I actually recommend going to the Matsuri no Mori, which is just the next bus stop down the road from Hida Folk Village. Here they store all of the floats that they use for the Takayama Matsuri. You will just be blown away by the craftsmanship and attention to detail here. As an added bonus, you get to do a couple fun things like bang a replica of one of the largest taiko drums and then actually see the largest taiko drums further down into the cave. as well as every 10 minutes they have different shows put on by these little like robots, which are like exactly in the uncanny valley, so they're like simultaneously creepy and really fun to watch. I really love that kind of stuff, so go check it out, it's great. And then tied to that is a place called the Nature Forest. It was closed when we went, which made us really sad because it looked like it was a museum that shows like insects and you can even like hand feed squirrels there. I don't know, it looked really fun to do, but closed. So hopefully it's open when you get a chance to go. And then even further up the road, there's more museums that we didn't go to for like pottery and other things like that. So you could spend a lot of time here. If you're someone who powers through museums though, it might be worth doing this on the same day that you go shopping in Takayama and kind of combine those two to make a whole day thing. I think that would be a really great plan. And then on our final night in Takayama, we spent it at this lovely ryokan called Iroriyado. Editing Brian here. I tried to say the name of this hotel like 20 times, and my accent is so thick that I couldn't do it, so it is this. Thank you. Continue. A 100-year-old building, and they've got two like large baths, one for men, one for women. It's tattoo friendly, which is really nice, and the staff was just fantastic. We loved chatting with the lady who was our host for the time. She helped Molly and I get dressed up in kimono and yukata. Then we went back to the room, had some sake, put together some origami, went to bed. It was a fantastic, lovely, peaceful evening. Just so you know, currently for breakfast, they serve Western and Japanese style breakfast, but I mean, come on, go with the Japanese version. Last I checked, they don't do dinner, but they do team up with some of the local restaurants in the area. So you can talk with them at the front desk to see what places you might like the best. To get here with your luggage, I really recommend taking a taxi or driving yourself. Then once you drop everything off, you can either walk 20 minutes into town or just take the local bus wherever you need to go. Other things to kind of consider if you go to Takayama in the winter specifically is, first off, think about what shoes you're bringing. When we went, we had about a foot of snow that then melted into slush. Something like tall waterproof boots are going to be your best bet. And then the same thing kind of goes with your car. Get something with 4-wheel drive and snow tires. That's what we had, and we had no issues driving. Also, places like this that are a little bit more rural in Japan, winter typically is the off season. So some places you want to go might be closed. Like there's a ropeway that we wanted to go to that is closed during the winter. So just do a little bit of research in advance to see what areas you want to go to, as well as what's actually open. And if things aren't open when you go, be ready to pivot and be a little bit flexible with what your plans and schedules are. I'll drop a link in the description to the Takayama official transportation website so that you can look at their bus schedule and go to places like Hida Folk Village or Shirakawa-go or wherever you want to go. It was kind of weird. Takayama almost felt like my home state of Colorado, and it was bittersweet to leave it. It's definitely a place that I want to go back to and visit again in multiple seasons. And then if you've been to Takayama and you've got some places that you really recommend that people go check out, if you could leave a comment below, that'd be super helpful for other people making travel plans. Or even if there's some places that you haven't been, that you've seen that you really want to go to, that would also be really helpful to drop below. I was also finding a bunch of information kind of about the history of the area, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to put together some kind of more historical deep dive videos about, say, like Takayama Castle or Shirakawa-go and how that whole history played out. So if that seems like it's interesting to you, keep an eye out for those. And I think that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Deuces.